I actually didn't have anything ready, so I am just gonna read my new newsletter, because I've got a Substack. Did I tell you I had a Substack? I've got a new Substack. Yeah, so this is just gonna be that. If you've already read that, then you don't need to listen to this. But, you know, if you haven't, here it is. You ever feel like the work that you do has no substance? I know I do. I'm an artist and I'm a teacher, and I guess I'm in the trenches of whatever independent art and education is. Whatever it is, from a boots on the ground perspective, it feels like we're all just putting on a shadow puppet show while the whole world goes up in smoke. In the early 20th century, somebody named Buckminster Fuller developed a theory that said the totality of human knowledge was increasing exponentially. Before the 20th century, it took centuries to double. By World War II, he argued that modern society has cut those centuries down to 25 years. Today, scholars estimate that information in human culture doubles every 12 hours. The writer and magician Alan Moore suggests that the next stage could happen when we move past the boiling point from a fluid culture to a culture of steam. So how do we create culture in a world where culture itself evaporates? I went to college for journalism, but it only took me a few classes with working journalists to have any romantic ideas stomped out by the reality of a dying industry. If you wanted to make a living making content, the only people paying were the people with institutional power. If you wanted to be a journalist, you were expected to deliver the points of view of your employers. If you wanted to be an artist, the only path forward was advertising. Now, even that truism has collapsed. This boondoggle that is the AI market has pulled out the rug from even the most corporate-inclined artists, and it shows what was always true. In a race to the bottom, only the owning class win. I'm lucky enough to still have a job as a professor of media, although that remains to be seen after May. The position still gives me a chance to do a lot of reading, and as a denizen of the internet, I come across libraries of independent, unique, and well-researched material, and they rarely have an audience that matches the quality. This week, I came across a YouTube channel that seemed to be offering the same kind of self-help marketing schlock that makes up most freelance advice. I went over prepared to see the same things. Always be creating, cross-post across platforms, engage with your audience, blah, blah, blah. It's all true, but it ignores the sheer cost in resources and time that it requires, as if it's saying, like, just make bricks without clay. What I didn't expect was that this content creator was trying to provide a proverbial wheelbarrow and a clear how-to on how to build bricks. Alright, hyperbole aside, his video summarized the realities of YouTube content creation and gave me some, hopefully, His big idea is this concept called synthesis, which is basically taking the concept that has already inspired you, taking the time to draw out your opinion on it, and then sharing it with people who might like it. It's, in a way, just cross-promotion, the same thing that YouTube's been doing forever. But in another way, it is a priority of engaging with other creators and audience communities rather than just chasing the algorithm. Will it work? Will it actually connect with an audience? Will anybody actually watch this video? Will I find work to cover rent over the summer? We'll find out together. Stay tuned. Okay, this video was a lifesaver. The Cynical Historian is the YouTube channel of a guy named Dr. Joseph Hall Patton. He's a historian in New Mexico who's been doing original history online for years. His video is an old school throwback to a more innocent time of the internet. He doesn't have the aesthetic templates or kind of like gimmicky on-camera behavior of new video essayists, but he's got a very, very thorough approach that borders on pedantry. I mean, he even goes by cipher on the channel. It's difficult to push back on the false premises that are all over the internet and all over the media, especially as they're repeated ad nauseum. And it takes a tremendous amount of effort to pull back individual arguments to see the big picture. I've lived through about 2 decades of American education getting stripped for parts. It's
somehow both encouraging and sobering to see those decades in the context of America's eternal tug of war with our worser angels. It's hard to argue against tonnages of misinformation and disinformation. Worse than that is when the propaganda seeps deeply enough into us to sprout our own self-doubt. When education has been demonized and targeted so much that self-censorship feels like a natural and even ethical decision. I don't know if the arc of history really does bend toward justice, but I do know that good historiography makes the intellectual battleground much easier to navigate. So thanks for keeping the faith, Cypher. Alright, my first draft of this video had a lot more videos to go over, but stay tuned for why I think Conan the Barbarian is better than The Lord of the Rings.
Hello, friend. Pal. Amigo. Potential audience member. I'm Phil. I make YouTube videos. I make Substack posts. You might like some of it. The link is in the bio. I really just appreciate you engaging. Hit like, comment. It's all free. Unless you have too much money. In that case, I do have a Patreon.